Wholeness and balanced vibrations. Today's topic is all about the delicate and sacredly fragile nature of life, and how is everybody coping with the current situation of being at home, not being able to go out as freely as we used to be able to. How are you coping with being locked up, in a sense, or being with members of your family that you haven't always spent so much time with? What's coming up for you? Life is certainly delicate and very fragile. And in my journey, I have found that it is our breath that simply holds everything together. All the parts, the events, external and internal, have an effect on our innerverse, our own universe within. And our body simply embodies and knows and feels these feelings and emotions and manifests them as a pain body. And so the pain body hurts in all moments as it carries within it certain beliefs and conditions, masks, clothing, cloaks, programmings, energies that sometimes we're not really aware of. For example, you may have pain after eating a meal, such as indigestion or heartburn. Have you looked at how you're digesting certain issues in your life of what's coming up? You can have pain in your legs as you're trying to walk. Are you moving freely forward in your life? Pain in your knees, for example. Or you can have a pain in the head, such as a migraine, which affects your ability to think clearly. And so I ask you today, can you focus your thoughts to use your mind, because it is there for a purpose, to come back to who you truly are as a soul being? Rather than not wanting to let go of control to do with this pain, which can be often overwhelming, for example, when painkillers are not working, a lot of mental clutter can come up for you when you're still holding on. And this mental clutter acts like a feedback loop, leading the clutter back to the pain, feeding the pain even more, as this verbal diarrhea of toing and froing, talking about the pain, making the pain the center of attention, keeps coming and going. You can often, however, also get to a point where the pain is so much, that you can do nothing but simply let go of the control of it. And this is the point of surrender, or the art of surrendering to the pain. And when we do this, we're learning to accept, we're learning to acknowledge and encompass, and simply be with the pain as if it's a guest that's come to your house for a cup of tea, and you just sit with it and be with it. And this creates a circle of purity, because everything flows in circles. And within this circle of purity, there are no external or internal attachments to the pain, because you're just being with it. You're observing it. And what's behind all this? To access you, the real you, the soul you. You can do this by softening yourself around the pain, literally giving up the idea that you are in control. This is letting go of the smaller, egoic self patterns. And what this does from an energetic point of view, because nature always is cause and effect, balancing forces always come into play. So what this does is decrease the pendulum that is swinging, that is the pain. And it allows you to become more present to it again and again and again, going round and round and round in your circle. Keep going. Keep being. You can lie down or you can relax totally. You can even use your hands to touch that pain and be with it. Or put your hands over your heart, which is a great teacher, and create a warm presence within, and align yourself with the higher self. And this allows you to start emptying the mind as you connect more and more to your in-breath and your out-breath. You come more into presence. And fear starts to dissipate. Helplessness around the pain starts to dissipate. And the true essence of you that's always been there, beyond any pain, also may show up to you, through you, as you. As long as you're not trying to control everything, and anything that comes up, we simply love it up. If tears start to fall, allow them. If anger comes up, allow it to come up. Be with it. Once again, think of it as a guest who's come to stay at your house. And by being very, very centered around this, do not get swept up in all the thinking about all the suffering and all the pain, because you're going to feed the pendulum again. Look at the pain as a teacher who has come to sit with you and wants to teach you something about yourself. I have found in moments like this, when the pain can be so much emotional, physical, mental, even spiritual, that sitting with it allows you to realign with the higher internal soul self. Even in moments when death seems very close, knowing that there's only a rebirth after that, a rebirthing or a blossoming of the real you, as long as you can be loving to it all in your pure, still presence. And so this brings me to the subject of our senses, and a few senses that I will speak about today. When we're extrovert, we create a great deal of external noise and sound. And by doing so, what is reflected back to us is also a lot of noise, through our eyes and nose and ears and touch and taste. Our physical senses constantly collect and absorb information from our external world. And often this can be too much. And so what's happening at this moment on the planet is we're all being given the chance to be indoors, away from a lot of the external chaos that often happens in our world. Now you may think, well, there's still chaos that's happening within the home. This is just giving you an opportunity to look deeper and deeper within the self. In order to reap benefits of an inner peace and inner silence, we need to slowly start shutting down the senses of the external world. And this creates a more still state of mind, like the lotus in the muddy water, as it simply leads towards a deeper introspection. The state of introspection, creating silence within. And in this silence, we can use our senses to connect with the source of benevolence. We can use the silence to become a channel of our higher self, our creator, our source, or our God. It's all the same. It's our soul, whose greatest essence is love and peace and harmony. Generosity is one of the purest expressions of love. And when the generosity is spiritual and unconditional love, we can go back into the external world and use these senses with kindness and grace so that we can add positively to the lives of others by raising their vibrational frequency. But this can only happen when we've filled our own cup. And so I'd like to talk about one particular sense. I'll talk about maybe another two as well. But the first one that comes to mind today is the tongue. Not only do we use our tongue to taste foods or liquids, but we use our tongue to speak the words. Are these words swords in etymology? Or are they energetic frequencies of raising the vibration around you? Are you using your tongue as a bitter tongue and a pair of scissors? Or is it a sweet tongue? So a sweet voice can really heal and mend others' hearts, whereas a harsh tongue can cut another's heart. Have you asked yourself how aware you are, and that the words that you're speaking, are they necessary? Are they true? Or do you need to go back, step into your own silence, take a breath, and come from your inner spaciousness? Because when we bliss others or receive blessings from others, we also can give that power back. What we give out is what we receive. And how do we achieve a sweet inner voice so that it can manifest into the outer world? As a human being, we talk all day long. But have you listened to your mental chatter? How you talk to yourself? Your mental chatter when you wake up in the morning? Your mental chatter when you look at your face in the mirror? What are you saying to your reflection? How are you going to change what the image is feeling to change the reflection? And just as we speak, our voice echoes. And so it is with subtle thoughts that we can also reach all of our reflections that we speak to. Indeed, we often speak more with the mind than we do with our lips, because the mind has a deep connection with our words and our actions. And so the secret to having control over our words and over our actions is to know the self, is to ask the self, are you aware? Are you awake? And reminding the self Are you still? Take a breath. Have more self-respect. And then your words that come out will be considered more sweet. As a human being, it's easy to start criticizing and pointing fingers at others. Have you looked at the fingers that are pointing back to yourself? As the one who sows the seeds of anger also will receive the fruit accordingly. Am I aware? Am I going to raise the frequency around me? Anger also makes the tongue bitter, not only in words, but taste. So how are we going to remedy this? By being aware of the soul self and filling our words with significance, thoughts of being one in unity consciousness with the other, as all is self, reflected back to self. And thinking, do I really need to speak right now? Aiming to speak less and doing more with our actions often speaks louder. Sometimes the mouth is quiet, but the eyes are busy looking, or the ears are busy listening, or the face is frowning. And this also reveals the pain body that we're carrying, the masks that we're wearing. Are they really yours? So the face is a very good index of whatever is going on in the mind. So simply turn within, and you will find that there is a powerful silence that will emerge as you begin to see yourself more as a soul being, and also you begin to see others as souls that are around you. And so the next sense I would like to talk about is the ear. What are you listening to? Because just as we train the tongue to talk only what is necessary, so the ears too can be trained to hear what is necessary. Nothing wasteful, no matter how small, should enter the ear. And it is said that an ant in the ear of an elephant can make an elephant fall. And this is all energetic vibration. If you hear something about another person that clouds your perception of the other person and starts to affect your thoughts, is this really what your soul is thinking, or have you taken on another person's perceptions? And so how do we train our hearing? By developing the ability to listen. Always look at the opposite. How are you listening? How are you absorbing? And how are you creating filters that only goodness enters your ears? When we absorb truth as satya, we understand what changes we can make to benefit others. And how are we filling our cups with golden light, with pure energetic frequencies, so that when we start to hear and listen and speak and taste and look and touch and feel, that only this high energetic frequency is emanating from each and every pore of our being. So the third sense that I'd like to finish off today about is the eye. The eye, talking about the eye, the self as well, the windows to our soul. The eyes enable us, in silence, to see the world with our soul consciousness vision. Our physical eyes can be very naughty in as far as they better look at everything around them, but are they really seeing? Are they really perceiving? Or is it our first eye between our eyebrows that's really, really doing the true seeing, viewing, perceiving. And it is here that you can only see what is useful, what is your truth, what is your satya. And the actions that follow will benefit you and benefit others. And so using your inner eye, your higher conscious eye, to look at others' virtues and good parts, rather than using your physical eyes of judgment, is a high vibrational tool. It is only the external eyes that spot judgments in others. But when we start to see the good points in other people, through our love, through our loving eye, through the middle eye, we only allow that love and that happiness to start filling our cup. And the more you start filling your cup ad infinitum, the more you can start pouring through that cup. And when we see good points in other people, they experience our unconditional love as unity consciousness. And we can start to awaken the special virtues within the other person, so that they also realize who they truly are, and they start to remove their masks. What is the point of insulting another person? As is our vision, so too is our world. And some people have very sweet vision, and we can always see this as a light that is emanating out from their inner smile through their eyes. It's shown in their behavior. It's actually shown in their face as a face map. So whatever we do outwardly can be seen by everyone. So I invite you that during your silence, start practicing to direct viewing through your third eye, as the eye of forgiveness, as the eye of compassion, as the eye of God. And if someone has weak eyesight, then they may also need some sort of surgery to help them see clearly. In the same way, our physical eyes are not as powerful as our first eye. Silence is like a spa for the eye. It is like a fast surgical operation. So let's take a deep breath right now. Let's stop for a moment or two or three and just become still, just become silent in our presence with the self. And let's start looking at ourself from within. Let's start hearing from within. Let's stop looking externally. Let's stop hearing externally. Let's stop speaking about other people's weaknesses and instead focus on removing our own weaknesses, because others are only a reflection of self. You can even make a list of the things that you are going to now be committed to overcoming within yourself. Take these thoughts with you and apply them to every situation that comes up for you throughout the day, at home. And so if you have a generous heart, a giving heart, that's also able to receive in full flow, you will never ever have wasteful thoughts. You won't use unnecessary words, and you won't be bombarded by extra noise, because the peace and the silence from within you will externalize. This introspection comes from a deep silence, a deep stillness, a deep spaciousness. And it is here that you can start creating your intentions for yourself and for the good of others, and fill that space with the foundational blanket called love. And when you start to get into this practice, others will start to see it, feel it, taste it, smell it, touch it, because that's your essence. Because the sound from your heart travels directly as an electromagnetic frequency directly to their heart. Everything happens internally first before it's manifested externally. So explore this. Have fun with this. Make a game out of it. After all, everything should be done in a state of joy. And if you start to apply these rules of silence to yourself, you create generosity to your life. And others learn simply by your example. Children always learn from their parents. And you don't need to speak about this and start telling everyone about it. Simply be in the beingness. Simply be motivated by humbleness, by truth, by your divinity and humility. As you're planting the seeds, and you will receive the fruits accordingly. Remember that if you sow seeds that bear thorns, you won't be able to eat juicy mangoes. And so engage in these acts of godliness, I-ness, beingness. And you will benefit not only to yourself, but also to the world. And so sit in your silence. Understand yourself. Look within your heart. Look who you're ready to welcome into your heart. Look who you've rejected from your heart. And keep going in with an inner forgiveness. Keep going in more and more. And say to yourself, the vision that I keep for everyone around me is that of truth and purity and goodness. The feelings that I have for all my reflections are that of purity and unity consciousness. It is my responsibility to create a good atmosphere within and without. And this atmosphere of my universe is based on silence, on love, on peace and purity, as I am a generous being, able to give and receive love in all that I do. Wholeness and balanced vibrations.